So you see that debris right there stuck in the crack? Welcome back to another episode of Cheapskate Nation. Today's a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit of redneckery. My mama dreamt up a present for my father, and she enlisted my help to get it built. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you kind of what we got going on. In the trunk of this car, we got some crap from Harbor Freight. Free gloves, some saw blades, and a couple casters. Brand new screwdriver for free. A Ford one, I'll put that in the house. Some tie wraps, zip ties. But I also bought this right here. Now what in the hell could all four of these things have in common? So apparently my dad's been on his hands and knees, and he's over 70 years old. Acts like he's 19 though. But he's been on his hands and knees trying to get the pine needles out of the grooves in the deck. So my mom dreamt out this tool that if you have a saw blade between a couple of wheels on a pole, that you could just run it down the grooves of the deck, pushing all the pine needles out. Sounds like it would work. They probably sell something like this, but I didn't look. I'm just going to try to build it in the garage with the welder and some spray paint and bubble gum. So let's get started. So what I was thinking is cut this off, cut that off, stack them together like that, and make one bracket like that. And then this saw blade would go right down the center. And what I would do is I would use these holes right here to anchor this saw blade in between these wheels. So as the wheels spun or gripped the decking, they'd spin together, but they'd also spin the blade. So I'm going to go ahead and get these wheels apart and see what I got to work with. So look at this. We got two wheels. Dude, I couldn't ask for a better fit. Look at that. This centers up right on it. Like that. I should be able to drill two holes in this one and in that one. Maybe sand down this rise right here so it fits tight against it. But the idea is that blade will go right through or right into the deck. Now the other question is, I guess it doesn't matter because you could just flip it around. So now look, if you're rolling like that, the blade's cutting into it. If you roll it like that, it's cutting against it. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. What do I got for hardware laying around here that I could use to pin this in there with? That's the next question. Got to pre-drill the hole first. So we're going to eyeball this. We're going to put one in and then put the other in. This thing is ready to take a finger off. I'll grab a screwdriver. By putting this hole first, it gives me about a 32% chance of getting the other one right where it needs to be. I don't know if I drilled it deep enough. That's okay though. About as good as I could ever get it. Wow, that is pretty good and rigid. And it's pretty even too. I'm digging it. I should have drawn this up first. Probably would have been better. Okay, we got that half done. Do I got a bolt long enough for these? Okay, I got a bolt that looks like it's going to be long enough. Right there. It's been kind of screwed with. I wonder if I got a better one. Oh, I got it in my hand. Alright, I'm up for it. So here's one part that I lucked out on. I'm putting it in the old wheel bracket right here, and it spins. That's perfect. So if you, just to give you kind of an idea, it runs along. If this was like the groove of the deck, it could run along. As this thing would turn, it would want to turn and tear up all those pine needles that are in the deck. But we're gonna have two casters on there, so that way when you push straight down, it can't wobble walking back and forth. And I found a bolt and a nut, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna lop off this bracket here, lop off the other one, and then we're gonna figure out where we got to put them to get them in there. Forgot to get Sawzall blades, but let's see what we can get with this. On time for a second. So after we get those two brackets cut, this is kind of what we got left with. Look at that. Now I got to cut these brackets down, probably re-weld them together. I was thinking about, I got some scrap steel out in the backyard, but bending it, cutting it to make it work is just, and drilling holes and getting the holes to line up. I mean, it's very doable. I already got these here, and what the hell else would I use them for? So we're just going to cut them, re-weld them back together. It's zinc plated, it's not galvanized, so still not good to breathe in. So I'm going to make sure I'm well ventilated in here before I start it. That means I should probably put in my exhaust vent fan that I just bought the other day. Probably not. Probably won't happen. But I made some marks on here. We're going to go ahead and get it cut. I got to set up the disc cutter because the saw's always dead. I had 17 pairs of safety glasses in here, but this is the only one I could find. Dirty, well used. We got these brackets here cut. We got our bolt. I wonder if I could salvage these stickers here. Make him think he actually, maybe he'll return it to Harbor Freight. So we're going to put these brackets together and we're going to weld them up. Probably weld on both sides depending on the penetration that I get. But I think you guys are grasping the concept. So far, it's working pretty good, or looking pretty good. I don't know if it's going to work. Probably won't, but you never know until you try. And if it doesn't work, then we'll redesign it and try it again. So I got my brackets made here. And they are zinc plated like I mentioned earlier. I ground down a bunch of the zinc to reduce my chances of catching zinc fumage in my lungs. So I got my face mask on. You know, if it blocks COVID, it'll block the welding fumes too, right? So we're gonna go ahead and weld this and get after it. Here we go. Don't forget, welder etiquette. Clean and clip the tip. No penetration on the backside, so we're going to weld both sides. It's a good quality weld, looks like a 7-year-old did it. Dad'll be proud. That'll work. Let's give it a minute to cool, and then we'll go test fit everything. And I can take off this mask. I mean, the welds don't look horrible for just picking up the welder, but that's what it is right there. I mean, and here's what kind of like, hopefully you're catching. See, this one's just free spins, and that one spins the blade with it. So, I mean, I have no idea if this is gonna work or not, but what father doesn't love a homemade present? Dad, if you're watching this, I hope you love it. I hope it works good for you. At least get a laugh out of the video that comes out after. So picture this little fence. Here is like deck planking, but the deck planking's like, you know, as wide as this blade. So when you're going along, it just kind of digs in and grabs and tears that stuff out. I don't know. Might work, might not. Might be too weak of a design. I don't know. We're fixing to find out though. So let me tell you what's going to make the difference between this being a nice looking tool and a good looking tool is I only got this end tacked onto here so far. But A, cutting off this crap. B, making a good weld in there. But overall, making it straight when you look down this thing now. I don't know if you can tell. Let me zoom in with the camera here. But looking straight down this thing, that blade ain't straight. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go tweak it right now while it's just tacked. I mean, I am putting in the effort here. I'm not like just trying to hokey pokey this around. I think it's actually going to work fairly half-assed decent. Well, we got her all welded together. We're going to do the right thing, give it a nice little finish coat of spray paint, some Rust-Oleum, the protector, just to make it look a little more enticing, prettier, beautified it. Just a little bit while it's still hot. Sometimes it helps if you shake the rattle can first. Oh, look at that. Professional now. Wonderful. Dad's gonna think this was store-bought until he sees this video. Just cover that up. with all that extra temperature in there from just making that weld, it will help the paint cure. And don't mind all that porosity in there. That's just to show you that it came from China. Nothing like a little brake clean and a wire wheel action. Make that top of that bolt look like brand new. Safety first. Semi-perfect. Maybe I got some paint for it. So the very last part that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this punch, this hammer, I'm going to stake that nut in there. Show you after I'm done. I go right between the nut and the stud, and I hit it. Helps to have that part on the table. The reason why I do that is it locks the nut in, allows this to spin, but it's going to kind of lock the nut in and keep it from wanting to back off. So there we go. Project complete. It's a something per chopper with wood handle from Harbor Freight. This part was 20 bucks. The two casters were 10 bucks. The saw blades were, it was a 2-pack, and that was $19.99 on the clearance rack. So, hey, we're all good here. I really want to say thank you for liking, subscribing to all my videos. I appreciate the ones that do. We're so close to having a real good time with this channel and actually able to do some even cooler stuff. But, yeah. Homemade whatchamacallit.